Maybe not. That's just me. All right. We are on day 3. You want to find Minnie Mouse, I believe, is in the beginning. Yeah, Minnie Mickey. I told you guys I love Disney, so you might see a lot of Disney as we go through the notes. I just throw them in there. Okay? So this is solving multi-step equations. So we're going to do a little bit of a quick recalling review before we get into it, because before we actually start seeing equal signs, I want to make sure that you guys remember how to distribute. Okay? For some reason, I put the same exact one on here, so we're only going to do number 1. But Minnie Mouse is saying to remember to multiply the outside number to every term that's inside the parentheses. So 1 and 2 are the same, so I'm just going to cross off 2 because for some reason I accidentally did the same exact one. Okay, so when you see a number outside a group or a parentheses, you're going to distribute it and you're going to multiply to each and every single term. So what's negative 3 times negative 2y? 6y, good. So remember, a negative and a negative is going to make a positive. So then I have negative 3 times a positive 4. Negative 3 times negative 12. And there's no y, so we're done. Negative 3 times a positive 4. Okay, so that's just the distributing part. When you distribute in, you're just really multiplying. That's all you're doing. Okay? Now, remember that wherever the sign is, when you're combining like terms, that's with it. So here is a positive 3y, a positive 2, and a negative 5. So that negative is attached to the 5. It's not attached to this 2. Okay, so we're going to combine like terms. The like terms I see, I have a 3y and a normal y. I also see a 2x and a negative 5x. And then this guy is kind of like all alone. He doesn't really have a friend or a partner to combine with. If you don't have highlighters and you like to underline, some people like to do like those are the same, these are the same, and then the 2's alone. So whatever works for you, or if you can just do it without, that's fine. Okay, so in green, what is 3y plus 1y? 4y, very good. And then in purple, 2x minus 5x. Close. Negative 3x. And then I'm just going to bring down that 2, and we're done. That's as far as we can go, because you can't combine an x and a y. It's like if you're trying to sort apples and bananas, you can't put them together because they're supposed to be separate. Okay? All right, I want you guys to do number 2. And if you ever want or need highlighters, because if you notice already, I highlighted the crap ton. There's like so many in here. You can like take the whole bin to your desk if you want. They're always available to you. They're in every single group. Whatever's the same is what you combine. Can work together, work alone. Kind of mapped it out a little bit for you if you're getting stuck. Kind of gave you what's common. Or if you want to just double check with your brain and make sure that you're doing it right. Though that's what's common. That's why I kind of like highlighters, because it's very visual. I'm a visual learner. That's just how I've always been. So if you like that, please use highlighters. I promise. It might make your life easier. If this is easy for some of you, great. Take advantage. Next week we get back into the harder math. I just see your little smirk like, what you got over there? I like it. All right, 13. It's like 13 apples and minus 6 apples. If I ate 6 apples and there was 13 to start with, how many's left? 7. So I have 7 apples left. Okay, in blue, if I have $8 and I took 7 away, how much is left? 1. Very good. And that B is just a loan. And we're done. Okay, like I said, if you like color coding, there you go. Any questions about that? Going through those 2 things is going to help you tremendously. Now you just got to take it step by step. Please don't be overwhelmed with multi-step equations. You just have to take your time. It just might take a little bit to get there. Okay, simplify each expression. I can't express enough how much I've seen this on the SAT. The simplifying of expression. I would say something like number 4. would be one of the ones that you would probably see on those more advanced tests. So I'm going to do one with you. Let's do 1. What would you do first in this situation? What do you think? Yeah, the parentheses, but I can't really add them because M and 4 really don't go together, but what can I do? What's that word called? Yeah. Yeah, distribute. Very good. So 3 times M, I get 3M. And then 3 times a negative 4 is a 12. Is it just 12? There we go. Negative 12. And then I'm going to bring everything else down in black. And I only have one more step left, and that's just to combine like terms if anything's the same. Well, there's only one M. There's 3 M's, so we're not going to do anything with that. However, I do have a negative 1 and a negative 12, which makes a what? There you go. You got it. If I owe you $12 and I said, hey, give me one more, now you owe me 13. So do number 2 because it's very similar to it. Number 2 is very similar, so go ahead and give it a try. Work together, work alone. Oh my God. See what you got. And then you're going to get it. Okay. I've seen some good work. You should have gotten, I think it was 6x plus 8. Okay. All right. Number 3. Let's go ahead and do this one. So I'm going to bring down the 3y. I'm going to bring down the plus sign. Then that 4 outside of the group means I need to multiply to both. So 4 times 1, which is 4. 4 times 8, which is, there we go, 32n. Okay? So if it helps you to draw those little arcs, I still do it, and I'm way older than you. Okay? Then go ahead and do that to make sure that you multiply them in. Okay? Now if you notice here, there is nothing common. So I'm done. Okay, so if you're just trying to figure out the simplest way, that's it. Because the 3y and the 32n, they're not the same. So I can't combine them, so I have to stop there. Okay, it's probably an error on my part. It's probably supposed to be a y, but it's actually good that you see that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move on to the next page. Because now we're going to do exactly what you just did, but we're going to just start solving it, okay? I think this is supposed to be split up. Okay, so multi-step equations, when there's a variable on one side, that means there's a letter on just one side. You're always going to combine your like, sorry, it's supposed to be an L. You're combining your like terms, and then you're just going to solve the remaining equation. So you got to check both sides first and say, is there anything I can combine or simplify in some way? And then you're going to go ahead and start solving that equation. So when we look at something like number 1, whenever you see a group and a number out in front, like this guy out in front here, in not yellow, in yellow, okay, you need to make sure that you start distributing, which means you multiply. So I have 5 times 1, which is 5, and then 5 times a positive 4, which is 20. Good. In black, I'm going to write everything else down that hasn't changed, trying to stay as organized as possible. The biggest problem I feel like with multi-step equations is when we don't stay organized. Okay? So we still, if you look on the left side, there's a lot going on. The right side, it's just a negative 13. Sometimes talking it through, it helps you with it. Look on the left side. Is there anything that can be combined? Is there anything that's the same?
20M.
Yeah, 20m and the negative 2m. Very good in purple there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine them. What is 20 minus 2? 18. Okay, so then I have 18m in black. I'm going to go ahead and just bring everything straight down. I brought the plus sign, I brought the 5, I brought the equal, and now I'm going to bring down the negative 13. Now we're back to what we did yesterday, because yesterday was a 2-step problem. So again, we just added one more step from yesterday. All right, so What would you do next? Remember, the variable's on the left side. That means the 5 must move to the right and the 18 must move to the right. What do you think we should do?
Subtract 5.
Good. Subtract the 5 to both sides of the equation. Bring down the 18m because that hasn't changed. Again, tricks with negatives. If you have two negatives, you just add them. What's negative 13 minus 5?
18.
Just 18? Negative 18. Because they're both negative, we're going to keep it. The only time the sign goes away is if you're multiplying negative and a negative. My final step is to do division. Thank you. You'll get used to me. I make you say things. It's okay. Negative 1. Okay? That was a lot. I feel like just a lot of steps, but you're capable of doing. You just need to take your time. That's why I try not to assign a lot of homework problems, as I want you to take your time when you do it. All right. If you didn't run out of room, try 2. If you didn't run out of room on 2, go ahead and try 2. Like if you've got some room over there, go ahead and give it a go. If you need help, I will sit next to you, or you can ask a person that's sitting next to you. Whatever works for you. First step should be to distribute that 4 into the parentheses. We just got the next 2 and we're done. You'll have a lot of time to do your homework and work on it with someone or work alone and finish it up. Okay? Give you another. Where am I? When you are done, and done only, I want you still to keep working if you're working. Check your answers. Or if you're really stuck and you just want to look up and say, okay, maybe I can get one step from Miss Picho, say whatever you call me. Everyone knows we have different names. Okay, then you could go ahead and move on. Hopefully my one step can get you to the next if you need to. And I'll give you another 30 seconds to make sure. And I know this might be hard for some, or it could be very easy. Just gotta keep working at it. You will get better in time. Okay, I'm gonna do one more with you guys, and then I'm gonna have you guys do what we usually do, which is to do a problem to get your homework, so I can just check and see how you're doing. Okay, so I'm gonna do number 3, and then you guys will do number 4. So, last one together. This one's pretty much the same thing, except for now I moved the variable to the right side of the equation. So again, I see a group of parentheses and a number out in front, so I'm going to take this -2 and I'm going to distribute it to both. Remember, the negative is attached to the number that comes after it, and that's why it's -2 times 7, which is -14. And then what's -2 times a positive, or sorry, I'm going to just give you an answer. What's a -2 times a -2w? A negative and a negative makes a positive, and it becomes a 4w. Remember, you are multiplying, so if you don't remember that you're multiplying here, make sure you maybe put like a multiplication sign, whatever helps you remember that you're multiplying. Or you can write out multiply, whatever one works. Bring down your positive 3, and bring down the 5, and bring down the negative. Okay? Then we go to one of the sides and say, is everything combined? If we look at the right side, there is something we can combine. What two things can we combine? Yeah, negative 14 and the 3 in green. Okay, so when I combine them, I'm going to get a negative 11. Because if I owe you $14 and then like you only gave me 3 back, you're still owing me $11. I'm not going to let you guys forget that you owe me that money. Okay, bring down the 4W, bring down the 5, and bring down the negative sign. Now you're back to what we did yesterday, which is 2 steps. Your variable's on the right side, which means I must get everything to the left side. So what are we going to do next?
Add 11.
Yep, add 11. That goes away. Bring everything else down. I'm going to bring down this 4W, bring down the equal sign. Negative 5 plus 11, or you can think of 11 minus 5, whichever one works best for you. 6. And now we're going to get a stinking fraction, and that's okay. Sometimes you might get decimals, sometimes you might get fractions, and that's okay. It happens sometimes. Okay, so then I'm going to divide by 4. And I get W equals 6 divided by 4, or a decimal, or you could have wrote it as 3 over 2, whatever works for you, which is like, or you could put like 1.5. I would have accepted any 3 of those answers. Any 3 of them would have been okay. 6 over 4, or 1.5, or 3 halves. Either one's fine. Okay, for your homework, in order for you to get it, I want you to try number 4. Again, you have a whole half a period, okay, for 10 questions. Half a period. It's the more practice you do, the better. Okay, the more practice you do, the better you get at it. Once you are done, just let me know, and I'll come and check you out and see how you're doing. Remember number 4, you just got to distribute that negative 2 before you do anything. Take this negative 2 and multiply it to both. Not the 8. Careful. Only what's in the parentheses. It's very common that people would distribute the negative 2 to both of those. Or to all 3 of those. You just want to do it to those 2. Number 4. When you do this, you do the same exact thing, but you're going to distribute to 2 times basically. So here you would get 16x minus 12. Okay, that's one group. Again, step by step, slow and steady wins the race. Okay, and then I'm going to take this green. Technically this is a negative 1, or it just changes the signs of what's inside the parentheses. Because then I get a negative 1x, or just a negative x, and then a positive 5. Okay, so really you're just doing that distributing twice. And then you bring down that negative 52. From here, I think you might be okay, but I'm just going to get you one more step further. You combine like terms. I have a 16x and a negative x. And then in blue, I have a negative 12 and a positive 5. So when I combine these, I get 15x. When I combine these, let's see, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, a negative 7. And I think from here, you should be okay, so take it from there. But really, it wasn't, it just basically was distributing twice, and I think that might have threw you off. But now apply this one, number 5, and see how you do. Okay, so I want to make sure you got an example on that one. The rest should be okay. If you want to listen to music, you're more than welcome to when you do this. I'm all for it. If you like to study with music or do homework with music, go for it.
Are we doing all of them?
Yeah. Practice. Train the brain. Still got a good 12 minutes in here, so utilize your time. Ask me questions. I'll just be organizing unless you want some help. I'm more than happy to help you out.